With that, is Coralie Reese here?
I think she was unable to make it to her prior commitment.
Very good, Representative. We will then skip over Ms. Reese. Is Pua Ford here? She's here. To be followed by Saul Silverstein, if he's here.
Good morning. Let's see. My name is Pua Ford. I live in Bethany, where I do public access. I work in the town of Woodbridge on government access television. Basically, I support everything Paul Jagir said about CTN. I share the concerns of Jennifer Evans and Carol Young-Kleinfeld about community access in general. And I'm relieved to hear that there is language about fees for interconnection with the U-verse, because I couldn't find it before. I'm sorry, I find this language very hard to read. So, let's skip to the internecine warfare in section 1. And basically, I thought it was pretty funny when I read it, but we had an opportunity to look at this with more general principles about the prerogatives of towns to choose town-specific programming if they have the technology available. And what I really want to emphasize is that respect for local standards and local culture is at the foundation of community access. Recognition that towns and schools are just as much customers of community access as viewers is basic, and the customer is always right. These ideas are obvious, I think even self-evident. And I wrote a lot more. You can read it if you like. The other thing I'd like to address is what Representative Drew said about keeping town-specific government channels from being too politicized. In Woodbridge, I have an oversight commission, bipartisan, 5 members, that looks at what I do. For financial oversight, our town director of finances has received an award for his financial reporting from the Government Financial Officers Association for several years running. I have policies I have to follow regarding purchases over $2,000. We can make that available. I think most towns have the same thing. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Ms. Ford, thank you. Yeah, I just, are there specific changes to Section 1 or any other section of the bill that you were requesting, or was it more that your testimony was encouraging us to consider cultural and town or educational consumers of public access? I was just trying to get a handle on your testimony.
I think what I want to say is targeting one entity shouldn't be necessary if everybody recognizes that towns should have the choice for public, for town-specific programming if the technology is available. Is that good?
I think so, and if not, we may have a question from Representative Fawcett. See, I read her mind. Maybe she'll illuminate me. Representative Fawcett.
Thank you very much for coming up today. It's nice to meet you. Yes, I have a question about town-specific, and if I understand correctly, the town of Woodbridge actually has provided town-specific programming for more than a decade.
I think since 2002.
Okay, close. And really had already negotiated that town-specific programming into their agreement when the third-party provider joined in. And have heard stories from our region about the freedom that you have enjoyed to provide town-specific programming has been threatened and starting to be chipped away or reduced. And have you seen that you are losing more hours? Did you used to have more hours of town-specific programming and now you have less hours available to you?
That's true, but that's part of an agreement that we did make with Soundview after 4 hours and 45 minutes of negotiations. We used to do 24/7. Now we have provided 48 hours a week as a window for Soundview to provide regional programming. And to be truthful, I have heard no complaints from any viewers, but I haven't heard any comments either way.
But this agreement was based on, what was the agreement? Just why would you give up hours that you already had?
Money.
Yeah. So the PEG provider money that your residents in Woodbridge pay
have been paying for Over a decade.
Before you had this agreement to give up hours of town-specific programming, how much money did you get of the PEG provider money?
Oh, none.
But under the agreement, if you agreed to give up town-specific programming, did you then get some of the money?
Yes, we did.
Thank you very much. Thanks again for coming today.
No problem.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Ford? Seeing none? Thank you very much. Saul Silverstein, he's here. Very good. Followed by Ron Davis. And actually, I Saul, I'll let you proceed, and because the Attorney General has come, as long as Ron's okay with that, I'm going to let the Attorney General follow you, Mr. Silverstein.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Saul Silverstein. I'm a resident of Orange and the chairman of the Orange Government Access Committee, or OGAT. We are the governing body for the Orange Government Access Television Channel, and we support House Bill 5814, especially Section 1 concerning town-specific programming. As you may be aware, in Area 2, we have been battling a totally unsympathetic DPUC and third-party access provider, Soundview Community Media, to retain our town-specific cablecast status. We have been a 24/7 town-specific station longer than Soundview has been in business. It is a status we have successfully grown and used to make local government more accessible and more understandable to the residents of Orange and to maintain transparency in town government. OGAT is entirely funded by the taxpayers of Orange. Since its beginnings in 1998, the town of Orange has appropriated over $400,000 to OGAT. We have never needed nor requested funds or help from Soundview Community Media. In fact, we have helped our neighboring communities in Area 2 come up to speed on government access programming when Soundview failed to do so. Section 1 of the bill, as well as several other sections, are vital to our ability to continue to provide this service to our community. The continuation of OGAT as a town-specific entity is demanded by our viewers. I say this with great certainty as a result of the petition letter we circulated supporting the town-specific position. Our goal was to get 1,000 letters signed. We easily exceeded this in 2 days when we got 1,200 letters and we stopped collecting them. We also conducted a survey of our viewers and learned that 96% of the respondents do not want to see regional programming on OGAT. 98% get their information about town government and related events from OGAT. In spite of the 1,200 petitions, testimony in favor of maintaining our town-specific status by town officials, our legislators, residents, the Attorney General's office, the Office of Consumer Counsel, and the DPUC's own needs assessor, the DPUC is requiring that we negotiate away our town-specific rights. It is now up to you, our legislators, to correct the situation. Please act favorably on the town-specific aspects of HB 5814. Thank you.
Saul, thank you very much. And let me just say that we may be getting to this point shortly, but I've been hearing a lot of very distressing reports out of how your public access has been offered in your area. Not OGAT, the regional programming. And as I understand it, you said that you do not receive any funding at all.
No.
Okay. Even though funding is collected from your cable TV subscribers for public access, you do not receive it at all.
That's correct.
Okay. That's a problem. That's a big problem. I'm a lucky guy. I have 3 town-specific channels in North Haven. I don't know, what do people in Orange who have a not governmental content, what do they do? Like if your high school has tapes a basketball game, or you've got Cooking with Saul, I mean, where do those guys go for their programming? Just
if they want to provide us content and it's government related, we will broadcast it. But they're on their own nickel if they want to, themselves.
So if it doesn't relate to government, then they can't put it on OGAT. They got to go elsewhere.
They have to go to public access and basically request time from Soundview.
I see. Thank you, Saul.
Thank you.
Questions, Representative Fawcett?
Thank you. Hi, Saul. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much for coming up today. Clearly, the town of Orange, I have heard, not just through your testimony, but from many people, has provided for years just top quality programming when it comes to town specific, and it sounds very exciting. I have to tell you, in Fairfield, I have never experienced that type of programming, and looking forward to it someday. So maybe you can give us some guidance when we come online. And Representative Fontana, I think pretty clearly asked, one of my points was that you don't have access to PEG provider money, yet the residents in your district pay that fee, a tax, we could call it, but again, you don't have access to it. I'm wondering about the Cable Advisory Council in the region. Do you have members that serve on that council?
Yes, in fact, Ron Davis, the next speaker after the Attorney General, is the chairman of that council. He is from Orange. In fact, he's our coordinator. He runs our day-to-day operations of our station. And my wife is also a member of that council, by the way. Yes, and they are very supportive of our town-specific position. And they're upset that we might have to give it up. In fact, when we first went on the air, the chairman of that council came and asked me, "How are you doing this so quickly?" They were so surprised that we got up and running within a few months of basically starting our operation. And so, as you said, we've been fairly active technologically also. We were probably one of the first stations, certainly in our area, to be using DVD technology. And every year we're looking at the leading edge to try and improve what we do.
And you said you would be sad if you have to give it up. Why would you have to give it up?
Our residents who are our customers don't want it. They're really not too thrilled maybe about watching a sewer commission in Bridgeport. I mean, really.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they want to see what's happening in the town of Orange. We're a town of 13,000 people. There's about 4,600 homes wired for cable. And like I said, we did a survey. 96% said we wanted to maintain town-specific. And we did a lot of things in that survey. We asked, do you think we show too many reruns? Because one of the issues the DPUC used to try and justify taking it away from us is we might be showing too many reruns. Well, the response to the survey was no, we don't show too many reruns. We show just the right number. And the reason for that is the way people watch government access is they don't necessarily watch a show from beginning to end. They come home from work, they'll turn on the TV, they'll catch a few minutes, they say, this is interesting, I gotta go cook dinner. They'll come back later, it might be on again, or we always have a little scroll that say when the program will repeat. And so basically, our viewers are accustomed to the way we operate. They like the way we operate. They do not want to see a change in that operation.
And I'm sorry, just clarifying, you said that you don't want to see the DPUC take it away from you. Is that threat imminent?
They have ordered us to negotiate away our town-specific rights and give Soundview some time for regional programming. Now, in Milford, that turned out to be a 50-50 split. In Woodbridge, apparently it turned out to be 70% for the town and 30% for Soundview. In Orange, which has more programming than those two stations combined, we can't reach an agreement.
And I have done a lot of research on this issue, but I didn't know that piece of it, so thank you. Have you been offered a deal in relation to the access to the PEG provider money from the third-party provider? Have you been offered money? We had someone before you testify that Woodbridge gave up some of their access to town-specific programming willingly because of the money was an issue, and they needed the money to sustain their operation, so they had to make that compromise.
The DPUC, when it renewed the franchise at the end of 2006, ordered that Soundview set aside $60,000 total for the government and educational access stations. And I think Milford gave up their 50% for $10,000, and I think that's what Woodbridge gave up their 30%.
Yes, I think you're right.
And we have a $65,000 a year budget. The $10,000, we don't really want it if we have to give up
hours.
Yeah, to give up hours. So, like I said, we have since 1998 probably spent over $400,000 of our taxpayers' money to develop this technology, this broadcast capability.
And you're committed to doing that going forward.
Yeah. And somebody earlier had made some comment about politics. This entity, OGAT, is supported by people of every political persuasion in town. It's amazing. When we had the public hearing at DPUC came to Milford, we went to Milford, all our elected officials, regardless of party, spoke in favor of it. It's totally apolitical. It's amazing, and our committee makes sure it stays that way.
That's great. I can't, again, thank you enough for sharing your information today. One last question. On the Cable Advisory Council, would you be supportive of an idea that worked to empower the Area 2 Cable Advisory Council by giving them an annual grant, similar to what's done in Area 9, where you had $60,000 a year as a council to distribute to the area towns? Is that something that the council's prepared to or would be able to easily implement, spending that money?
I can't speak for the council. Maybe Ron Davis can, but from my point of view, it sounds like a way to go, without knowing all the details.
It does, indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Fawcett. And are there other questions for Saul from members of the committee? Seeing none, let me just thank you again and let you know that this troubles me greatly, and I intend to solve this problem this year, one way or another.
Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Silverstein. Now we'll have the Attorney General, followed by Mr. Ron Davis.
Is that me? Thank you, Chairman Fontana and members of the committee. I want to begin by thanking you and your co-chairman for your leadership and your vision in bringing before us a number of these very significant proposals. And I want to join you in saying that I am troubled by what I've just heard about Orange. As a great fan and admirer of their programming, I have seen personally the kind of issues that have been raised before you, and I commend and thank you for devoting your personal attention to that situation and to the 4 bills that I'm going to discuss with you today. And each is important in its own way. Let me begin with the CTN bill, which I feel is very important for...
Mr. Attorney General, let me just state for the record, just so everyone's clear, traditionally we've taken them in bill order by bill number, but because of your, we know that you're busy working for us, we're going to focus on that and then move on to the other 3 that you wish to testify on, so that way we can accommodate your testimony.
Okay, and I'd be happy, I've submitted testimony if you want to confine my remarks to the one that I think it's House Bill 5814. Is that the one that you're taking first?
Well, that's actually was more to my colleagues. I want to limit our questioning of you, if we can, to 5814. But in terms of offering your testimony, I would welcome your testimony on all the bills.
Thank you. On 5814, I have to confess to a certain sense of irony. As you may recall, as I'm sure you do recall, we had a little difference of opinion with AT&T on issues relating to regulatory authority and federal state preemption issues and so forth and so on. And in the course of that debate, one of the issues I raised was community access. And I was told repeatedly when I raised this issue that the quality of community access television, CTN, all of these issues would be absolutely the same or better than it is right now. And in fact, AT&T very much respected the will of the legislature to assure that the quality of community access and CTN would be maintained. I was, in effect, told that raising the issue itself was delusional and irresponsible. And
I wasn't the one who told you that, was I?
No.
Good.
If you had said it to me, I would have taken it much more seriously than I did. But I began to wonder, whether in fact it was an issue. And now, unfortunately, and I have to say very unfortunately, I told you so. Not in a sort of personal way, I told you so, but just in the sense that, regretfully, there is a need for the legislature to clarify its intent. And I want to make clear that my view is the legislature is clarifying its intent because its intent all along has been, as I quote, I believe it's yourself on the floor of the House of Representatives, quote, "We ensure that public access continues to thrive by requiring certified competitive video providers to carry all existing public access programming in every community," end of quote, during the debate on Public Act 07253. So I'm not here to make a long speech or offer extensive testimony. The details are in my written submission, but essentially I think that we need to assure that the quality for CTN and other community access is at least as good as any other station, any other programming, because we all know from consumer habits that there's a tendency to go through to surf, and that people will be discouraged from watching these programs if they are of lesser quality. Just briefly on the other bills, I want to, most important, offer my assistance, views, insight on House Bill 5819, an act concerning energy relief and assistance, which would establish a Connecticut Electric Authority, concept I first proposed and urged during the last session of the General Assembly. I'd be happy to work on the details with you. I'm here to support it. I commend you for raising it. I've suggested in my testimony some specific measures to improve it and enhance it, and I would be delighted to talk with you either in further hearings or in other forums or meetings about the details of that bill. And the same is true of House Bill 5783, an act concerning electricity market incentive rebates. I understand there have been some legal issues raised about this bill. As you know, it is very similar to the windfall profits rebate, as I called it, that I proposed and urged during the last session of the General Assembly. I believe it is well merited. Again, I'm here to support it. I'd be happy to work on the details with you. And finally, on the energy, an act concerning resource recovery facilities, House Bill 5817, profoundly important for the future of trash to energy and resource recovery facilities in the state of Connecticut. I can't emphasize how important this measure is, and I would be happy to talk to you about the details. I'm here to support it. These plants were built with our dollars. The resource recovery facilities were constructed with taxpayer money. We ought to act now to prevent these facilities from being used by private corporations to create a monopolistic stranglehold that has towns and cities and consumers at their mercy and enable them to charge huge windfall profits at public expense. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Attorney General, thank you very much. And, we appreciate your leadership on behalf of community access and other issues. Having just stated a rule, we're now going to amend it slightly. There may be members of the committee who would like to ask you questions on the record that either you or your staff could answer either later in the day when we get to those bills or in writing subsequently. So if you would allow me to, I would like to allow people on the committee to ask questions on the record, but would ask that you not answer, as much as that seems odd, because of the interest of trying to proceed in our fashion.
As long as they're not questions about my personal life, I'd be happy to operate under those ground rules.
Mr. Attorney, I certainly hope not.